60 shillings. That is per student, per pupil in primary, of which 50% of this amount, that is 3,780, is meant to be spent on instructional materials such as chalk and textbook and others. So how much is left at term? You know, out of 7,560. But you see, when you look at this figure, one would say this is little money. But let's look at the whole sum, how much government spends. Government spends 1.2 trillion on UPE. 1.2 trillion on UPE. Then it spends 800 billion on universal secondary education. So a lump sum, it may seem a lot of money, but when you break it, now if you're the head mistress, the head teacher of a school, and almost you have about what is left of 7,000 something, if 50% is, you have about 3,700 to look after.
These MPs have a very valid reason they are trying to raise, but also the government schools, there is quite some work that is yet to be done. But anyway, also before we get into that, just a reminder, our poll question is definitely running, and we would really love to know what you have to say. And of course, this is in concernment with the topic at hand. How can schools and parents opens? How can schools and parents work together to enable learners get back to school as that term opens? Now, in regards to this poll question, we know again right now, Felix, this is one of the biggest challenges, but maybe just to take you back, we know that COVID-19 did happen and it had quite a lot of implications on very many things. One of the biggest sectors that was actually majorly hit, it is the education sector. There is a lot that changed, things were turned upside down. And also we know certainly that because of that, parents have had quite a lot of hardships in trying to make sure that they meet home responsibilities and give children the education that they deserve. It is a right, you know, constitutionally speaking. So when we get back to the schools right now, their reason, they will tell you that right now the economy is not doing well. These children that you're bringing to us, they have to be catered for. We have very many things we have to meet. We know the prices of all these commodities have gone up. Food alone, you know, our children have to be fed, but we cannot do that if we continue using the standard school fees we've been having. So meaning we have to increase the money. It is a triple even because even the teachers they have also responsibilities. So there is a lot of targets that are meant to be met, but also parents on the other hand are complaining, you know, you see the economy is not doing well, why are you increasing school fees? So everybody has quite a complaint they're putting to the table, but when you look through all these complaints, it kind of makes sense. Everybody's kind of making sense right now. Yeah. So how do we get a middle ground for all the stakeholders? We're having parents at play here, we're having the schools at play. How do we get to a middle ground for these parties? Yeah, and now that you put in the concept of stakeholders, it does give an emulation of the picture that we're looking at something that is quite crucial for a country. And as you did say again earlier, that education in its own self is a right. You did allude, and Bob did do the same. Alluding to the fact that it's a right, it means that under Chapter 4 of the Constitution, it is covered to be that should be appreciated generally, not specifically. And that's what the law does. Because of its generality, you must make all efforts, not as individuals, but later as a country, to ascertain that this particular right is achieved. In fact, that makes the beacon of sense that you have seen most recent some parents who have been arrested because of their kids not going to school. Yes. It springs from the fact that education is a right and it must be available. Now, the availability of education is not enough. Rather, the same must be collaborated with. It must be meaningful education, first and foremost. Secondly, if it is available, it must then be accessible. Those are the things that we must focus on. Now, if you go into the definitive analogies of the three particulars for us to appreciate this right, you realize that if any of them is not observed, the availability, accessibility, and sensible is not appreciated, the latter will not be appreciated.
Now, how available is education in this country? That's the question. How accessible is it? But how meaningful is it? And all these three things determine the cost of education. That's why the Chidabos of this world will understand these three aspects: accessibility, availability, and later on, meaningfulness. And that's why in this country you have schools that pay up to a tune of about 7 million a term, and those that pay to a tune of about 8,000 a term. It all rotates around the three aspects. A parent will leave this school and go to the other one because they are looking to satisfy the three aspects.
Standard.
Meaningfulness of education. Now, how do we strike a balance, as you did ask Philo? Education has ceased to be an offered service to a competitive business under the watch of the government. In Uganda, we have a saying that Bwadeni, and there's another one from which it says that Echato Mwami. And then the other person will ask you, when you saw it, what did you do? We commercialized a service, and that's where we are suffering at this point. The discussion about school fees couldn't have been a problem now if we didn't commercialize a service. Imagine that, and this is the threat why we have to discuss this quite seriously, that if education is not available generally, it is not accessible generally, and it is not meaningful generally, it means you're going to have educated idiots and educated smart guys. And this is the truth of the matter in Uganda today. As Parliament is here talking about hiking of school fees, it is not doing the right issue. I think the discussion should go back to making education an available service generally. Now, whether a Chirabo is a rich man, Philo is a rich lady, and maybe Nkuda doesn't have money, the only common denominator for their children is that they will all get the same education because it is a service. It should be a service. That should be the only joining factor. Personally, I went to a UPE school, Shimon here. We used to have ministers pick their children and ask the peasants' children also being walking to the parks, the new parks and old parks. But the education standard, honestly and truly, 15, 20 years ago, you went to Nakasero. People went to Buganda Road.
By that time, was it under UPE?
Yes, because UPE was enrolled, I think, 1997. Yes.
Because I remember schools like Bat Valley, Buganda
they
Road,
were all UPE.
Nakasero,
They were all
Shimoni,
UPE.
Chitante, man.
Trust
what they are today.
The standards were the same.
Yes.
We could only meet there. A minister's child, a peasant's child, a poor what, a conductor's child. The standard was the same.
Very true.
So, why did we lose the point? Today, if you want standard, you look for a particular school for it. If you want your child to pass, there are schools who are good in passing, who are good in teaching, who are good in, like the categorization of education has brought the mischief that we are dealing with. Now, the hiking of school fees is to satisfy the parents' desires. Philomena, you want your child to get for these schools who do that. For them, it's not about whether a kid has understood or not, but they will guarantee you
they want to see
that a Masiko Junior will get a 4.
Yes, because that is what you want to see, and you will get it.
And you're just reminding me where one of them went to your neighbor and said their children were undermarked.
You can
they
imagine
they couldn't have few fours. You know, that was impossible.
You understand that because of this categorization of education vis-a-vis the generality of which should be the ought and the is. Education should be a general appreciated good for the nation. That's the least the country can give the poor and the rich. That even as I struggle as a market vendor, my child is assured at Shimoni, at Nakasero, at Bat Valley, at Buganda Road, at Kololo, they will have, you get it, that I don't have to take my child to Chirabo High because the Chirabo High has a standard
Yes.
that a Shimoni didn't have, or in Nakasero. And that's why we should appreciate, that's when the right to education is appreciated. Now, the reason why we're having this conversation, it is simply because education, and under the watch of government, I must say this again, has become a good for trade. Better bargainer, you get the good better. As I've told you, there are schools who will offer you a good pass. That's one. With schools we know who will offer you a general disciplined child, and I'm sorry I can't mention some of them. There are schools that will offer you a child who has good religious morals. Yes. In this country. We know these schools. And people will tell you, if you want your child, oh, what do you mean? My sister, hey, what do you want? You get the point.
Yes.
So, because of that isolation and making education specific vis-a-vis general, is why we're having these challenges. And it's not about to stop, I can tell you.
Well, we still cannot talk about this whole education story, and we don't talk about the role of government, which I believe is really at the top. It's at the peak of all these. Like we did say, this is a constitutional right. And when we talk about something being a constitutional right, we know that government has quite a huge hand in it. It has a huge role to play in this, yes. And I mean, speaking of government, we do have these parliamentarians who at one hand, of course, have something to do. And what was interesting, they were saying that they're going to go and take some site surveys, which I really don't find necessary because it won't really bring the results that we want, yeah? They were saying they want to go and do some site surveys and see some of these schools that are actually hiking fees. And one would be asking, why do you have to let it get to this point where you actually want allowances to go and see schools that have hiked fees? But right now, in this whole scandal, why or what is the very specific role of government, you know, as the major stakeholder? Because parents have fronted their issues, schools have also fronted their issues, but what is the main role, the supreme role by government in this whole education sector?
First, government is the regulatory authority. That's why you see, if you start a school, you don't get permission from government. They have the power to come and close your school.
Yes.
We've seen this happen. So, because it is the regulator, and then it is also the sole facilitator. Actually, to me, I would say that these private schools are assisting government to educate children of the nation. But the sole responsibility of education entirely lies in government. These are just assisting. It would have been entirely government having control over the education system in this country. I mean, having these schools, because I feel there are some services that shouldn't be even allowed to be like commercialized. Health, education, that this should be for government. But when you look at such a situation, one, we must clearly understand what has been government's contribution to the education sector. How much of our budget, how do we prioritize education amongst other things in this country? Because that then is going to determine to what extent can you hold people accountable. You know, you can't go to a school head and tell them that you cannot increase tuition, or we are banning you from increasing tuition in a private government-aided school, for example, for you, for secondary. And when they sit you down, Philo, and tell you, thank you very much, we are willing to comply. This is what we spend a term. This is what you give us. Can we continue operating with this budget? If the answer is no, then government, the only thing you can do is let them be. I'll give you an example. His Excellency during COVID-19, the State of Nation, the various addresses, one time he said that he's disturbed when he introduced universal primary education. He wanted it to be completely free. But what is happening nowadays is that school heads and PTAs are conniving and they're introducing charges. You know? And he said, I find these charges making some parents failing to take their children to even universal primary education. He said, you need to advise me, either I remove my money and put it in other things. Because The child of the poor is not even accessing UPE because of these charges, food 30, then this 30. At the end of the day, it's a universal primary education school, but maybe a parent has to cough 70,000, which the poor would not. But tactfully, some school heads responded and said, Your Excellency, how much do we get per child in UPE? I've just given you the figures. Can they sustain a child even a month? Apart from saying we pay the teachers, you know, they said, Your Excellency, there is no feeding in these schools. We can't teach on empty stomachs. So when you tell a parent that you bring, this one comes with a cassava, this one then comes with the rumonde, and brings the porridge in a mug, the other one, you know, uniformity. It doesn't work that way. It becomes a bit hard.
Some don't bring anything.
Some don't bring anything. So as others are eating, you know, it became a problem.
Story of our lives, I tell you.
Leave alone this Felix used to buy vichepere on the fence of Shimoni while others come with sausages.
Trust me, when you got that, you will bless the Lord.
Exactly.
I can tell you the truth.
It's a privilege because
when you had break,
it's a different story. They don't even have the little money to buy the vichepere from the
having
restaurant.
200 at break time, man, we would bless the Lord, I can tell
So
you.
that would remind me of Mengo SS, where we had a saying that if you don't have money, you just rotate around the canteen. And then you get that. Get water after that. Your stomach will have gotten that.
Pinch for me, sir.
Go and take water, go back to class.
lessons.
So these are some of the issues that are raised, that government must increase funding to these schools. Funding will improve what Felix talked about, standard. Today, why I would take my child to school X, I want to tell you, no parent, if free schools or government-aided schools were giving that quality education, would look for 2.5, look for 3 point something, if they'll still get that education. So funding and monitoring and supervision. If they're equipped, these private schools will automatically, you know the factors of demand and supply. If the same good of the same quality can be gotten in this place cheaper than what you're selling it, no one will come to where it is expensive.
Yes.
So if we increase, then that is what is going to lower this automatically. The tuition will go low. And if you've provided schools the monies they need, then you have more authority to come and say, we are compelling you to pay this amount of money. But practically with the funding we are giving, government is giving to these schools, then the moralness of saying, don't do this, given the current state of the economy, becomes a problem. Otherwise, they will not take the porridge, they will not have what to eat, and it will become a problem. Teachers giving them salary with a little allocation to other necessities cannot stop schools from increasing school fees no matter what. All we pray is they follow the right procedure. And then, of course, the parent, I don't know what to say. But if you require the best for your child, then sometimes there's a cost to pay.
Yes.
If education is expensive, try ignorance.
Wow, that is quite a very sad reality. But also, we know that the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports is definitely bound to give us the results they'll be picking from all these site surveys they want to do on a sample of all these schools where allegations are concerning the increment of school fees. But also, a poll question is still running, and again, it is related to the topic that we have just been talking about, you know, on how parents and schools can be able to make sure that the learners get back to school, especially now that the third term is commencing. You know, aside from all the hindrances, the hiccups that we are meeting here and there, how can all these stakeholders make sure that the learners get back to school, whether back to the government-aided schools, whether back to the private schools? At the end of the day, it's education we are looking at. It is the bigger picture right now. So please do tell us what you think. What would be the ideal solution? How can you help all these two parties to achieve the main goal? We'll be back after the break with our press review, our dailies. What are the big stories? We'll be taking a look at that. Good morning.
Forget last season. season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Bouncing back from the effects of the COVID-19 episode has not been a smooth ride. That is why the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and the International Growth Center will co-host the 6th Economic Growth Forum. We will explore how Ugandan policymakers can most effectively build a resilient economy that can weather a multitude of potential financial, environmental and social setbacks. We shall address several questions which will impact Ugandans in the long run. The Economic Growth Forum will cover 4 thematic areas listed below: climate change in Uganda, understanding the implications and policy responses, domestic resource mobilization for growth, exports to promote growth, and domestic value addition. The venue for the forum will be the Serena Hotel on the 31st of August to the 1st of September from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and will be live on UBC TV.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
The press review this morning looking at the new vision. First, Sejusa 48 top generals retire. President Yoweri Museveni over there being shown acknowledging General David Sejusa's salute during the Uganda People's Defence Forces retirement ceremony at State House in Entebbe, which did happen yesterday. Now, the co-contribute to economic development. Again, another story coming in from the new vision as per the President Yoweri Museveni. Taking a look at what is happening in court. Secondly, woman embroiled in property conflict. And still on the economy, Uganda's inflation increases to 9%. Moving into the second page of the new vision, Ugandan students to get tech skills from Spain. Again, another story that you should look at. Taking you back in time, today in history, the year was 2009. Mulago petitions MPs over Dumba arrest. And in 2001, Africa calls for slavery apology. So grab yourself a copy of the new vision to catch up on these and many more.
Now in the Daily Monitor, transition as Bush Wars generals retired, rather exit. Now Chief Justice comes out to name courts with highest case backlog, and Kanyomozi, Tribal Blazer and Stickler. Now hospital sued over detaining teen patient, and in DM today, relationships behaviors that turn relationships rather into ruin. Now the Lizard comes out to ask, there is nothing for free. Village health team tired of working for free. Okay, and inside the papers, VHTs tired of working for free, and why and what reasons they give there inside the Daily Monitor. Now, of course, today in history, Museveni orders dusk to dawn curfew. That was in September 1979. Now, Gaddafi leads coup in Libya. That is in 1969 as well.
The New Vision Sports. Now, I don't know, Felix, if you're a fan of boxing. I've never understood this game, I will not lie. But will boxing be at the Paris Games? That's the big question. And again, the big story in today's New Vision Sports, showing you boxers fighting during the recent Champions League encounter at Logogo. And KCCA FC rips from academy. And then more sports stories. Shaban upsets Onduparaka. And, well, they're also showing you how the young elephant emerged champions at Nwoya, and also looking at a teenager Rubongoya triumphs at Kilembe. These definitely in the game of golf. So maybe after this, I don't know, Felix, you need to help me understand the dynamics
of boxing. You just have to punch someone, you know. But
you're not inciting violence.
But of course, in Sports the Daily Monitor, we looked at formidable run, while we also see Chan 2023 qualifiers and how the first leg results are. Tanzania 0, Uganda 1. Now Saturday, September the 3rd, second leg, we expect Uganda to be facing Tanzania. That will be St. Mary's Stadium. Chitende there. How the odds will play is what we await. Now Ayera winning World Cup race. How he'll be able to do that is a question that you'll be getting, is an answer you'll be getting from the papers. Now the English Premier League, gloomy no more after shading the early season despair. Old Trafford will be rocking tonight as Manchester United seeks to third straight victory against Leicester City. But also, still inside Interforces game delay, National Netball League and Uganda Alunga spirit lifted after Malindi Open. Now UOC boss commits to boost staking growth, and Coach Mwebaze brings new dawn to Bright Star. That is Mahatlan latest crop. Now futsal focuses on Dakar 2026.
And moving into the Daily Nation, looking at Raila lawyers, how Ruto was rigged in. And again, this is on Decision 22. The Sherera team says it was assigned non-essential duties. And moving on to, again, some more stories. The big argument in relation to that, they're looking at the numbers, technology, the processes, and IEBC divisions. And also looking at the servers and ballots. This is quite a very serious story that you ought to look out for. And this is, of course, again, in regards to the petition that was filed to the Supreme Court of Kenya. And business, and now Chiloba team wants to regulate online streaming services content. And tributes for Gorbachev, the architect of a Soviet fall. And also looking at the road safety in Kenya, driving school theory tests set for automation. So get yourself the Daily Nation to make sure that you catch up on these and many, many more stories happening over there in Kenya. Well, our poll question is running, by the way, just as a reminder. Let us know what you think parents in schools can do to make sure that our learners get back to school, especially for this third term, considering that there are very many hardships on the way. But also, today being a Thursday, makes it just a few hours from Friday, Felix, and I must tell you that I'm a bit excited. I'm getting the FOMO for Friday. I don't know, I'm picking this habit from, Robert, who is always excited for Friday. But yes, I'm getting the FOMO because
you're spending so much time next to Robert. We need to shift your chairs.
It's really rubbing off on me. I don't like this. I don't like this at all, because right now all I can think about is Friday. But yes,
there's no harm in that. It's going to be a big one.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be something for us to look up to. We're going to be joined by a team that definitely has done so much on the music scene in this particular country, and they've been around for some time, gone through some challenges, highs and lows, but definitely they're back at it.
Yes.
And they're willing to share some time with us and discuss some of these things related to talent.
Yeah.
But the question is, Philo, and probably that will be answered tomorrow, and for our viewers out there, how do you turn talent into career?
Oh yes,
it's going to be a good one.
Oh yes.
So wait to catch that particular conversation tomorrow with Jackie Chandiru here on Good Morning Uganda, Friday edition. It's going to be blazing hot. She's going to be giving us a little bit of tunes.
I'm going to start rehearsing. So
for
tomorrow,
what?
for tomorrow. I mean, if we're having quite some artists here, and definitely, I'm going to be rehearsing.
I can't wait to see.
What you see tomorrow will be able to account for what I've just said, the statement.
But also, Philo, as I let you do, tell us what's in the roads. Yesterday, in one of the clips, it was all over social media, was His Excellency Kenyatta, Uhuru, and probably his first appearance after the elections.
I will tell you one thing about this.
I love checked clothes, I must confess. I love the checked. But the vibe, the excitement, the happiness.
I can even try to demonstrate what he was doing.
Shaking everyone's hand. I love the feel that he's exiting happily.
Yes.
Most of the presidents in Africa have either exited to prison,
yes,
I don't know, maybe probably that one
or
we'll see after. Exile,
yes,
or the casket.
Now let me tell you something about this man. He's such a jolly person, and when I saw that video clip on social media, let me tell you, I kind of saw relief on his face, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, I kind of read, I don't know if I read so much into it, but it's like this man was celebrating, because honestly, it is a very big responsibility to be a president. There is just a lot that you have to handle. Some we know, some we don't. But it felt like His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta was saying, you know what? I did what I did. I played my part, and that was it. I'm done. I am now living the rest.
I'm gonna live my life.
Look at that joy. Look at the smile. Tell me how that is not a face of relief.
I'm looking at the shot.
Well, that was his first appearance ever since we had the election. So while we are going through with the stresses of the petition, this man is saying, well, I've been there, and I am leaving that fight to the responsible parties. Yeah. But again, I know that we'll come to the end of whatever is happening, the petitions. Also, there is quite an interesting statistic. I saw about 88 lawyers top lawyers in Kenya are handling this whole petition. Of course, representing different parties. We do have the IEBC, we do have Raila, we also do have the president-elect William Ruto. It's quite a tough one.
There's money. Everyone is, there's a lot of money there. Everyone is running where the money is. Man. That's what it is. You know. So I think it's a good time for them, as Kenya does set a bit of jurisprudence. It's going to set some new laws. I think yesterday the court had ordered a recount of particular 15, I think, stations or something like that. And definitely they also ordered, I think, to give Raila Odinga some of the passwords to the
They did. They gave
portal.
him access to the portal. Yes.
But we are waiting to see. We are content that the team there in Nairobi, Kenya, is doing a tremendous and wonderful job.
Absolutely. Well, enough about Kenya, and right now switching off to the updates, clearly seeing what is happening on our roads. I want to focus on the areas of Makindye division. This is, of course, areas of Nanganda, Kalungu, Muyenga Tank Hill, and Bukasa, looking at some areas of Kansanga as you're headed into the city center, Kisugu. All this, I am looking at the traffic map right now, and I must say that, well, you will be encountering some traffic build-ups here and there, especially if you're a resident of this place and you intend to get to the city center, but maybe taking it off from Kalungu as you're headed towards a town. Mainly on Nanganda, in Nanganda you could come across some traffic hiccups here and there. There's certain traffic build-ups represented by these orange spots over here as you're headed towards a town. And switching off to Chiwafu Road also has some traffic build-ups over the spot and also over here, so this is also something you need to be expecting if you're already in movement right about now as I speak. Looking at the Tank Hill bypass, also quite busy this morning. Some traffic build-ups over here shown by the orange spot and also getting onto here. However, for the biggest part from there, it shouldn't be a problem as you're trying to come in from Muyenga. Now looking at Bukasa Road connecting from Kalunji Road, there is quite a traffic hiccup here, so it again shouldn't come to you as a surprise. But for the biggest part of Bukasa Road, I could say that it's going to be a walkover for you because the green is quite dominant, so it must be a very smooth ride for you right now. As you continue, of course, headed towards Namongo Road for the start, it shouldn't be problematic. However, as you go on, you will be encountering quite some very heavy traffic, and again in some spots the traffic is also starting to build up. But like I always say, that traffic is quite dynamic. It could be a different story we have to tell 30 minutes from now or even an hour, so you could also put that into consideration. And as you're of course connecting into the industrial area, the 6th Street is not really problematic at all, and the 5th Street as well, it shouldn't be anything that you have to worry about. Now continuing all the way from Namongo Road and trying to connect to this roundabout that helps you join the access road, I could say that the traffic over here is very, very busy. We do have the red spots that are marking the traffic in this very specific spot, so yes, put that into consideration. And again, it's also because we do have quite very many cars trying to join the main road. We have cars coming in from this part of town, that is Mukwano Road, but we also do have cars that are coming in from the industrial area, all trying to use the access road to get into the main road. And for the biggest part of Mukwano Road, I could say it is a smooth ride, so there is nothing for you to worry, especially in that very specific part. Now getting onto Nsambia Road, this is quite a messy one, I must say. Already from the traffic hiccups here, from the traffic build-up and getting onto this other part of the road, I could say that this is quite some heavy traffic you'll be encountering, whether you're trying to use this same street, rather this same road to get onto the main one, or even leaving. It's not any different. We are having quite a very busy moment over there, and we do have some traffic build-ups over here as you're trying to get onto the main road and also trying to leave, getting back to this side of of Makindye division. So again, that shouldn't be a very, very big surprise for you. And joining onto the main road from still this part of Loom Street, I could say that it is also not a different story. The main road, of course, being the Kampala road, it's quite very, very busy this morning. And like always, we do have some traffic spots over here and there as you're trying to join the main road and get into your final destination. So I could say that for the biggest part of Makindye division for this Thursday morning is quite busy. We are having traffic building up here and there. So yes, please be careful on the road. So make sure that you are quite alert and be a very responsible road user. We have our children getting back to school, so the parents who are taking their kids, please, again, we wouldn't want to lose young lives. It would be very tragic. So again, I urge you to be very responsible. And again, remind you to pay all those pending tickets. For the last couple of days, we've been having traffic officers stationed at very specific parts of the road. You know, you could never dodge them. It's very impossible. I have seen people fall victims, and I wouldn't want that for you for, you know, an early morning like this when you have a full day ahead. So make sure you do your part. Go pay up those tickets and be a very free road user without having to worry about anything. Well, that's it from the traffic updates, but we'll be having quite a whole lot still yet to unpack for you. Remember that our poll question is still running on our socials, so be part of it. Tell us what you think this is in relation to what schools and parents can do together as two important stakeholders in the education sector to make sure that our children get back to school as the start term opens. And we are having the GMU agenda that will be coming up in the next hour. That is, of course, with the man himself, that is Robert Nyonyi Tono Chirabo. And we'll also be having sports updates that are coming in from the man himself, that is Ruben Mpima. And we'll be, you'll be having quite a conversation about all these sports. And again, we have the Good Morning Uganda Extra that is also lined up for you to get you some extra information that is with the man himself, Jagenda. And well, that is quite a lot for you for this morning to be entertained and also informed. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, so you can catch up while you go up and about your business wherever you are. I want to wish you a very, very wonderful Thursday morning. I am Philomena Masco. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Bouncing back from the effects of the COVID-19 episode has not been a smooth ride. That is why the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and the International Growth Center will co-host the 6th Economic Growth Forum. We will explore how Ugandan policymakers can most effectively build a resilient economy that can weather a multitude of potential financial, environmental and social setbacks. We shall address several questions which will impact Ugandans in the long run. The Economic Growth Forum will cover 4 thematic areas listed below: climate change in Uganda, understanding the implications and policy responses, domestic resource mobilization for growth, exports to promote growth, and domestic value addition. The venue for the forum will be the Serena Hotel on the 31st of August to the 1st of September from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and will be live on Ubc TV.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There is no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Monga and Tayebo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only
by one MP, you yourself
and my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Planting seeds is one of the very first steps in starting a garden. So, do Anna and Jonathan have gardening tips for us?
Hey, you're leaving early.
Yes, I am. I have to make it to my Portuguese class by 5.
Ah, fala sério! Since when do you study Portuguese?
Since you showed me all those great pictures from your trip to Brazil. That planted a seed, Jonathan. A seed. Deep.
Tá bom.
To plant a seed means to put something, like an idea or feeling, in someone's mind. It can be a positive thing, like giving Anna the idea to go to Brazil. Or it can be a negative thing, like introducing a feeling of suspicion or doubt. And that's English in a Minute.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A lovely morning to you once again, and thank you so much for being part of Good Morning Uganda. From the hour of 6:30 till now, we appreciate you moving with us, you being with us throughout. Now, this is Good Morning Uganda agenda, where we have a guest in our studios, and this morning we have police. It is a Thursday and we have police. We are going to be discussing something that is ongoing. Anyone driving a car, you know what I'm talking about. From the 22nd of last month, because today is the 1st of September, you will understand that one thing that has come out very clearly is police officers are on the road and they'll stop you then they bring some technology, and then they'll tell you you're a defaulter of the express penalty scheme, which is EPS. Now, this police says they're trying to curb on defaulters, and they have a target to recover 8 billion that has been with you people who commit offenses and you decide not to pay. An officer says you're overtaking, you're doing this, we won't take you to court because there is this other alternative to let you go. And you're given some days to clear. So a Ugandan says that is over Njaguma Zambiro. Now police is saying we shall nab you, and very interesting, if they stop 10 cars, have been observing, at least 6 of them have what we call a papule bitali bisasulire. You're like, Ugandans, this is how we've been doing. But well, I have the traffic commandant, Kampala Metropolitan, that is Afande Kauma Rogers in Sereko, newly decorated, and I must say you look very smart. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How have you been?
Okay. Yourself?
I missed you. No, you didn't call me to celebrate with you.
I'm here to celebrate, and
Okay.
I believe you'll get to know.
Definitely, I must. But of course, let's go into the topic of the day, which is the express penalty scheme operations going on. One, let's first understand. When we talk about EPS, what are we referring to in terms of traffic offenses or traffic regulations on the road?
Yes. EPS was a project that was started in 1998. It came to help in the reduction of congestion at the courts. You know, way back they used to have traffic cases heard in the afternoon in courts here in Kampala. But the congestion would be too much. You can imagine the number of people that would appear for traffic offenses in a day in these courts. It would be very high numbers. So the powers that be at the time decided to come up with a system that would help in reduction of congestion in courts, and the express penalty scheme was introduced at the time. Earlier, it used to be a booklet. The tickets would be handwritten, and as time went by, they introduced the machine, that new technology we're using now, to make it faster and more effective. Yes.
Now, you've talked about avoiding congestion at the courts, but also I look at it as one way of helping people save time. Absolutely. Now, let's also understand what offenses are given express penalty.
Actually, that ticket has 25 offenses. And they're apart from accidents, we don't get a ticket for causing an accident or something, but the rest, driving without a seat belt, reckless driving, speeding, overloading, excess loading, there's overloading and excess loading, then not having a valid driving permit, all those lie on the EPS ticket. But it's not a must that it is always the case that I should give you a ticket. It will depend on the officer who has arrested you for the day. He can decide to caution you, he can decide to give you a ticket, he can decide to take you to court, depending on the case at hand and on the demeanor of the driver.
Okay, that is so important there. Now, also help us know from the day this ticket is issued to me, because this is going to shape our discussion this morning, why we see many Ugandans failing to pay these tickets. From the time I'm issued this ticket, how long do I have to clear it?
You have 28 days to pay, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, because those days are actually being reduced now to 4. It is in the pipeline to reduce those days to 4 days. But for now, it is still 28 days. And after which, if you spend 28 days when you haven't paid the ticket, it attracts a surcharge of 50%. If you had a ticket of 100,000, it will attract a surcharge of 50,000. So it will increase after 28 days. But remember, as I said, something is in the pipeline to reduce those days to 4. So it will be 4 days, after which
a surcharge
will be attracted to your fine.
Now, what range minimum fine to maximum? Let's look at the monies.
Yeah, the minimum is 20 on the ticket, and the 20 is for the passenger not putting on a seat belt. The maximum is 200,000. That is usually for speed and for breach of license. That's the maximum, 200 fine.
So these Ugandans we are seeing are failing to pay 20 up to between 20,000 and 200,000.
The 20 is for the passenger. If I got a passenger in a vehicle not putting on a seat belt, that one has to pay almost immediately, because I can give you even an escort to go with you to pay, because where will I get you the next day?
The passenger, yes.
Yeah, but if you're a driver, we'll let you go. Yes.
So if I am a driver, I go, I take, you give me the ticket.
You can go with your ticket, because for you the record we have your permit number, we have your vehicle number, you are good to go.
Very interesting. I think our viewers, before we actually go on what is really happening, we want you to be more knowledgeable about this EPS. Now, rightly told us the days you have, the amounts where they range from. Let's look at the mode of paying. You know, mostly now new technology. Is it convenient for a person that I can use my phone, money on my phone, or must I strictly go to the bank, because then that will inconvenience me? What are the various modes? Because today we are being advanced. School fees, you sit here and you're paying school fees.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm advocating also for telecommunication companies to come aboard. Because it would be easier for the drivers to use their mobile money to pay for these tickets. But all I know about is that MTN has that service, but I don't know what the problem is, because if someone pays through MTN, it takes forever to reflect in the system that this person paid. So the ticket remains in the system, yet actually someone paid through mobile money. However, I'm also calling upon telecommunication companies like Airtel, like UTL, to make sure they put this service, because it is easier for Ugandans to use their mobile money to pay for these tickets. And having said that, we are paying through the bank and payway machines. It is the most effective way and the most appropriate way to have the ticket removed from the system faster. You get it. Once you pay in the bank, URA captures the payment, the transaction, and the ticket is removed from the system. And having said that, it doesn't mean that all tickets, the people who paid for the tickets, that they were removed in the system. There are those that hang there, yet actually someone paid and cleared. And those cases are referred to room 73 in Natete, and that's where they're handled. There are few of them, but they are there. Of course, you know, technology, it is sometimes not up to the task, sometimes. So someone pays and the ticket still remains in the system. So those cases are there, but please don't worry, because I'm hearing lots of voices that are bashing us over this and that, but it is what it is. Sometimes the technology is not up to the task, and these things happen. Yeah, but please, don't worry, just go to Natete and get this issue settled there.
Now, viewers, you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply sending us an SMS message on the number on your screen, or a WhatsApp message on that very number. Please do it early enough. Most of you delay to send in these messages, and you send them either when we are winding up, then like Robert, you don't read out our messages to the guests. Start now. Any question you have for the officer in studio on our WhatsApp number, it is on your screen, or send an SMS right now. Nsereko.
Yes.
The big question now is why now?
And I would ask,
why now do you go massive? People even scared to drive, bring their cars. They are parking.
You get it? So if you are not guilty of it, why should you worry about a thing? And I should also ask, why not now? You're asking me why now?
Because
I'm
there's a
asking
belief,
you, why not now?
Over a time, there's a belief that people think, you people, the timing of your operations is funny. Some will tell you, around Christmas, police is when children are going back to school, police puts. And people may not know that this goes to the consolidated fund. That's why, katiba nonya fizi za abana. Na abanza sekukuru. Why now?
Well, the operations will speak for themselves. Because as we are now, we are collecting a lot of money from defaulters. And that money, you pay that money in the bank. There's no police officer who's receiving your money. If there's any police officer who has received defaulters' money in tickets, I would like to get such a report. Because we give you the ticket to go to the bank, that is not my money. It is government money. So it is common scenario here where we hear those voices, oh, they are looking for fees, oh, now they are looking for Christmas, oh, they are looking for Easter. It is common, but we are used to it. But as long as we know that we're doing the right thing, we are not deterred, we are not diverted from what we are doing. We know what we are doing, and we are good to go, no matter what the others say.
I heard you have a target of collecting 8 billion Uganda shillings. How far have you gone? What have you been able to collect?
I would speak for Kampala because that's where I command, and I would say the operation is running very, very well, and we are collecting lots of money from Ugandans who have defaulted on paying APS tickets. As I speak now, since the operation began on 22nd of August, we have collected 1.4 billion, 1.4, as I speak now.
1.4
Yes, in just how many days?
From 22nd till today, which is first?
Remove the weekend.
Remove the weekends, you don't work.
8 days.
8 days.
Around 8 days.
A billion is already in.
1.4 billion.
Very Now
in Kampala.
In Kampala
only. So I imagine
and these are national operations.
Oh yes.
Nationwide operations.
So I imagine that also other regions in Uganda are doing the same. So that shows something that you Ugandans are really, I don't want to sound rude on TV, but you are very reluctant, and you need to be more responsible, because you can imagine a ticket that was 100,000 has now attracted a surcharge. You pay 150, you get it. So it is incumbent upon the driver to ensure that once a ticket is issued to them, they pay immediately. Yes.
To avoid inconveniences.
Inconveniences and also like surcharge. Yeah.
Let's now look at how this operation is going on. I see messages are coming in. Please keep them flowing. I have the police traffic commandant for Kampala Metropolitan. That is Kauma Nsereko Rogers Sarongo. Uganda, that title is also something that those that have it want people to know about it. But how is this operation conducted? Because we can't doubt that there could be bad apples in police. So when I'm stopped, what must I do? I've seen some drivers yesterday, by the time I was talking to you, told you someone almost knocked me because he noticed there were police officers there and he knew it was the operation. So he couldn't, you position yourself at some strategic points. He couldn't make a U-turn, he couldn't stop and reverse, so he had to just go into, so he was fidgeting. So how do you carry out this operation?
It is a smooth one, I would say. We are not harassing anyone, by the way. We just tell you, you know what, you have this ticket pending, or tickets. Some of them have tickets pending, like my friends, the taxi drivers. They have lots of tickets on their vehicles. However, we tell them that, you know what, at least go and pay some 5 tickets out of 20. Go and pay at least 5.
Now if they've attracted surcharge.
Yeah, they've already attracted surcharge. So it's a lot of money, really. So you tell them to go and pay at least 5 tickets, and then we shall give them some time, and then we shall impound them again. Yes, for the balances. Because what do you do? But I would really beckon people to ensure that they go and they pay without waiting on us to come to pick them on the road. You know, it is very time consuming. You have things to do, and then I stop you, I park your car, then you have to go in the bank queues, you clear, then you come in this queue at police again because we are clearing so many people. Yeah, it is a lot of time being wasted. So it will be easier if you went and paid at your own time. Yes, to avoid all these inconveniences. But if you want us to park you, it is okay. For us, we are there.
So if I'm found at fault, the procedure is I park my car.
You park your car, you go and pay, clear the balance, and then you come and pick your vehicle.
Now, how do I know that the car I'm buying, the car I have, because I can lend out my car?
Yeah.
You know, someone could be having a problem, then the car gets a ticket and they may not tell me. I've heard people who say, I've never been given an express ticket, no matter where. But there is evidence that the cars, then maybe sometime when it tries to reconcile, this guy got a ticket and never told me. So how do I know I'm safe? For example, I'm watching that.
Yes.
How do I know that?
That is common scenario. Actually, I'm happy that you've brought that up. Before you buy a car, it is prudent that you come to police and check first whether that car is clear of any tickets. Because people have really landed into this without knowing that the car they bought has tickets on it. So you come, the service is free. You just come and ask me, please check for me this car, I'm buying this car. I want to ensure that the car is free of any tickets. It's free of charge. These are government machines, we didn't buy them. You get it? So please come and we check for you before you land into these problems, unnecessary problems. Yes.
Then you have
carry out due diligence.
Then you have company cars, there are a number of drivers driving them. How do you protect a person? Because I'm getting this inconvenience. Maybe my colleague who had a night shift or is the one who committed these offenses. Are they attached to permits? Are they just the car? How do we promote holding people accountable?
Yes. Right now, the tickets we issue, we have to get the details of the driver, the driver's license, permits. Yeah. Why? Because we found out there were cases of people who had many tickets on their vehicles, yet actually they were not the ones on the vehicle. So it was a bit unfair for the owner of the vehicle. However, once you task someone to use your vehicle, it is also incumbent upon you to ensure that you put a responsible person on the vehicle. So, in case you, the owner of the vehicle, you fail to trace for the person who was using your vehicle at the time, unfortunately, you will have to pay for those tickets. But if that person happens to have an expired permit and they want to renew the permit, they'll be got from the permit office. You get it? Once you go to renew the permit, they'll say, oh, guess what? You have so many tickets to pay before we renew your permit. So that was like, what do they call them? What do they call them? Omutego.
A trap.
A trap. Because if you dodge here, you'll be got here. You get it? So it is really up to you. But you, the owner of the vehicle, you need to ensure that you give responsible people your vehicles. Even the owners of taxis, the so-called bagaga, they should ensure that they should once in a while come to police and check the status of their vehicles, because these are taxis that have so many tickets in millions of shillings, and once you check the machine, the drivers are different. And the owner of the taxi doesn't know that his taxi is being used by multiple drivers. You get it? So it ends up, you know, they end up losing the business in taxi, you know, because of that little failure of checking, updating your taxi, who's driving your taxi, who's been given a ticket this week on my taxi. It is as simple as that.
Well, let me look at some of the messages that are coming in. We have, good morning, I'm called Aziz from Lubowa. What offense can make a traffic officer remove my number plate from my vehicle? We shall be noting these so that we respond to them, I think, to us. Then, good morning, Afande. I recently downloaded an app called UPF Mobi. I am wondering how effective it is in checking EPS tickets for my vehicle. We still have another one. Thank you, UBC, for hosting that, gentleman. My question is, what happens to me if I bought a car which had accumulated tickets without my knowledge? That is Peter. Still, we have today and in this era, how do you expect someone from Mbali to travel to Natete, Kampala, just to waste time coming to resolve such a simple payment malfunction issue? Why have you continued to prove it that we are in third world? Why has it taken this long to put this right? Now, do they still blame a few who failed to rectify this and still have reflected as defaulters? We are listening to UBC. Good work, good program, many thanks. Okay, thank you for watching and appreciating. It is Abdul in Muyenga. I was given a ticket for a passenger not having a seat belt. This was in 2018. How much do I have to pay now?
30,000.
Abdul. Hey, good morning, UBC. What is the criteria for you to put interest on that ticket issued to drivers, and after how long is the interest has accrued? And on tickets, Alfred Akeku from Arua. Well, finally, for now. Good morning, you. Okay, some of these are similar, but let's first take a look at also those that have come in through SMS. Oh, there are so many. What do we do? Okay, I'm Achidia Peter. I'm scared that in some district, drivers in crimes pay directly to traffic officers, which they take as a bribe. Hasn't this program, okay, this let the program down, but we thank you for the operation. Hi guys, brother of mine had his car in a garage for repair more than 2 years. Of recent, he had to pay 2 tickets, one for a Fuso truck and the other for a Primo. This is a petite week. What can we do? I think it has accrued so much. Well, I must say I'm reading only 2, but thank you. Okay, you know, Robert, what I want, see this. Okay, this one says he doesn't have the money, but you're keeping his car. Ajibale Kedde. Moderate from Obi Kako. If it's in December, well, there are so many stories now here. I think we better move away from people's stories and get back to your fact. I think as accrued so much. I surrender to you. How can an express attract 3 million?
Hey, it does.
To him.
It does. But if you choose to abandon the vehicle to police, first we shall keep it. The law says I'm supposed to hold that property for 6 months. If you don't come for it, it will be sold.
On auction?
On auction. So it is really up to you, really.
Yeah, no problem.
Then, someone asked about, I'll more base myself on the tickets, where people have wrong CAMEX on the ticket. The number plate is right, but the CAMEX is wrong. You are not supposed to pay for that ticket. Those are contested tickets. If I'm driving a UAM figure this, and it is a Raum, and then it indicates on the ticket that it is a Fuso fighter, you are not supposed to pay for that ticket. So I even thank you for this opportunity that you have given me, because so many people are landing into this. But when we were getting that training for the use of those machines, we were clearly told that you have to ensure that the information you are punching into the machine is the right information. Otherwise, you as the officer, you are going to incur that expense. And the good thing, our names are indicated on the ticket that Kauman Sereko is the one who issued this ticket. So if that ticket has those issues, I, Kauman Sereko, I'm supposed to pay for that ticket. So please, Ugandans, with such cases, run to 73 and get this issue settled there. Even if that guy from Mumbale says, how can he come from Mumbale? But that it is what it is for now, so we have no choice. If you care enough, you will come and have it settled. If you don't want, again, it is up to you. Yes. And then someone asked about removal of number plates. Yes, we are actually not allowed to remove people's number plates. However, there are cases where you find like an abandoned vehicle, for example, in the middle of the road. The owner is not there, and maybe the breakdown services are not close, yeah, and we need to take action against that person. So sometimes it warrants an officer to remove that number plate. However, he has to get instructions from their supervisor. You get it? So it is not allowed for officers to just remove people's numbers because we damage people's cars.
Yes.
Which is not right. You get it? People have cars that are worth of millions of shillings, and then someone carelessly removes the number plate and destroys that car.
Actually, they should have plaques off.
Yes. So it is not right. We even tell our officers to please desist from doing this. If there's any issue, the cameras are there. We can always trace this person. So, but I think some of them are emotionally charged and they do all sorts of things. But we try to talk to them, not to do what they do. Yes.
Well, in the interest of time, many messages are coming in. I want to thank you so much, viewers, for your contribution towards this program. But time is not so much on our side. Let me have your parting shot.
Yes, our dear Ugandans, we are here for you, not against you. And we want everyone to have a comfortable stay in the city. So if you want to use the roads, use them well. Respect others on the road. You are not the only one on the road. And we need to consider each and everyone who wakes up in the morning and steps on the road. A pedestrian should respect a driver should respect a pedestrian. My friend, the boda riders, please, mweddeko empisa mbi nnyo, but please twagalanga mwenna muli balamu tusobole okulakulanya ensi yaffe. I thank you.
Well, I want to thank you so much. That is the Traffic Commander at Kampala Metropolitan for giving an insight and answering to your questions regarding the Express Penalty Scheme EPS. Please go and pay these before your nab to avoid inconvenience. Have a lovely day. The sportsman is already here, very smart, dressed to take you through sports. See you tomorrow, God willing.